a trophy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Midlife Krisis.
We're back. We're back. We're live.
So in our previous installment, let me get my milk off the table here. In our previous installment, we did another catch up with Did It Age Like Wine or Did It Age Like Milk? I chose a hell of a wine, if I do say so myself, in Mario RPG, and my milker was the Dreamcast Echo the Dolphin game, which so badly I wish was good, and it is not. But I don't know if that's fair. If it was it always milk? Was it always spoiled milk? That's something I have to that's my challenge to figure out. I want to say when it first came out, it was great.
Cross to bear.
My cross to bear. But for you, Uncle Bob, what are your milks and what are your wines?
Okay, so I've got two wines only.
Wines only.
This is a wino
for
episode.
Adults.
Yeah, wino episode here. And one of the wines is cheating, so we're going to have an affair with the wine.
Most dudes start that way, I think. If I know my Danielle Steele, and I do.
So I've got kind of a cheat answer.
Okay.
So we'll blow over that, and then a real answer that I'm pretty proud of.
Okay. So with no further ado, I'm gonna say light me up with some of your wine, babe.
Okay. So the cheat answer is that what is aged like wine is God of War Ragnarok.
Okay. That game is 2 years old.
1 year old.
1 year old. Perfect.
That's why it's the cheat answer. And really, I just wanted an excuse to talk about the new DLC that dropped for it, which is called Valhalla. And it is freaking fantastic. Any of you guys out there, guys and gals who have God of War Ragnarok, be sure to get the free DLC Valhalla. Did I mention that it's free? It's really incredible.
So this is news to me now. I didn't know that it was free. That's cool.
And they announced it at the Game Awards, and the way it looked, it was like, oh, it looks like it might be some kind of roguelike thing. And also when they said that it was free, that was kind of seen as like a turnoff. It's like, oh, it's not going to include any more story elements. And also it's free, so there's probably not much content there.
What a stupid opinion to have, by the way.
That was a stupid opinion to have, because holy crap, is this thing chocked full of story moments and additional story play. The whole thing is about maybe 5 to 10 hours. You might be able to get 10 hours out of it depending on the difficulty that you play it on. And it does have a rogue-like element built into it, but it's super, super fun. And playing it reminded me of how much fun the original friggin' game was, which I loved. And so I'm playing it, and I'm like, man, the combat in this game is just still so good. And also, I was expecting zero story, and you're giving me a lot of story, a significant amount of story, and wrapping up things that the original game didn't wrap up, even though it wrapped things up pretty well. I just could not be more impressed with it. So, Sony Santa Monica, you guys have done it again, because God of War 2018 was fantastic. God of War Ragnarok 2022 was very, very fantastic, and with Elden Ring was like the 1A, 1B game of the year, and very deservedly so. And now, a year later, with no advance warning, they're just like, oh, by the way, here's this free DLC, and it actually is 10 hours of additional content that you get, and it includes a whole bunch of story beats that I won't spoil anything, but includes callbacks to the original God of War games, but then also references to the modern 2 God of War games. And then and the roguelike component of it is just super, super, super fun. And there's 12 new trophies to get, which I got all of.
Of course you did. Yeah. Of course you did. Yeah. So both of those games are big black spots for me. I haven't touched the 2018 God of War, nor have I.
You got to do it.
One of these days. So for me, like God of War, I've never been the biggest God of War fan. Going all the way back to the original ones, like
did you play the original?
Yeah, I played all the both of the PS2 and both of the PSP games, and then I played God of War 3 on PS3 when it first came out. Played them all, beat them all, and I think that they're really good character action games, right up there with like how Ninja Gaiden used to be in terms of quality. Now, though, in a post Bayonetta world, I put Bayonetta at the tippy top for me. Like that is my bar for a character action game, and I don't know if those older God of War games hit those same notes and highs for me as the Bayonetta series does. But my issue with the original God of War things is like, and it's it's just one of those deals where like they were always very like bro-y to me, like macho and all that shit, and that's fine. Like I've got no issue with that stuff, but like I think for like a whole game playing like as an angry like aggressive dickhead god in Kratos, like I don't know, like I got bored of it really quickly. I think the games are good. Special shout out to putting boobs in your games, and David Jaffe, you deserve that credit. You said outside the box, you bet. Let's put boobs in this game, so that's cool.
Genius thought there.
Yeah, who'd have thought? But other than like, yeah, they're not. I'll say that they're not my favorite of the everything under the Sony umbrella. But I keep hearing about these newer ones and how like that's like a thing that they addressed. Like they kind of knocked the early 2000s out of God of War.
Well, I didn't play those early games, but I had heard the same things that you did. Then you play the 2018 God of War, and I wasn't aware of the prior baggage. So as you're playing that game, you start off and your character Kratos is just an absolute shithead, and he's just a jerk. And now he's got a son, and I had a son who was about the same age as him when I started playing the game, and I was like, dude, this is child abuse. Yeah. So, dear sir, you cannot talk to your son that way. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And
that's a legitimate complaint that I've heard about like many times over, is that like it's the early goings of that game is like they can be like legitimately triggering to a lot of people who went through
whatever
that
the CPS of the Norse world, they need to be called and investigate this father and son team, because he's just plain mean.
Yeah, they're way too busy in Valhalla, like doing all kinds of nasty shit.
So and it's obviously set up so that he kind of softens up over the course of the game, and you could sort of see it coming. But he's such a shithead at the beginning of the game. I was like, I don't know if when this guy gets redeemed, if I'm gonna care, because he sucks so bad now. I really don't even want to keep playing the game. So by the end of the game, I was still like, this is a really good game in terms of gameplay and story, but man, I have trouble rooting for Kratos, this character. Okay, you get to the sequel, and it's a whole different ball game. Mm-hmm. And again, it's only been a year, so I won't spoil any of the sequel stories, but it is narratively, it was just a really, really, really good time, and I really, really, really enjoyed it, and it gets my highest recommendation for somebody like you who hasn't played it. And then again, this Valhalla thing comes out, and I'm expecting nothing because it's free and it's supposed to be roguelike. And then instead, it's just a perfect continuation of all the internal struggles that Kratos has and like all this other stuff. So anyway, what I'm telling you is that they do acknowledge and attempt to fix the issues with the character within the context of who he is as a character. And they do a chef's kiss perfect job of it.
I've heard that many times over
in general. Yeah. And I have no idea where they're taking the story now. I hope there's like 10 other God of War games, because I'm invested in like 5 different characters from that game, and they can give all of them standalone games for all I care. I mean, it is really good. So it has aged like a very fine wine over these
1 year
13
vintage.
Months.
Well, okay.
1 year vintage.
I think, okay. So the thing that I will allow this as a member of the board of trustees here for Midlife Krisis. But I think what's important and why I think it is why it would fit in this wine category is that it is a game that came out a year ago, but the fact that they just released this like very substantial update and it's free.
Yes.
When does that shit happen? Like it barely ever happens ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can think of one example where, and it's not a great example because the game's not very good, but there's that Mario Party that came out, and then during COVID, like a year after it had come, maybe like almost 2 years after it had come out, Nintendo like had secretly worked on an online version of it, so you can play like the main game online, and it came out like seriously like 18 months after it had come out or something, and it was like, you didn't need to do that. Thank you. I probably won't play it because I don't like this game, but the fact that you did is really, really cool. So when shit like that happens, it does need to be winified, I think. It should be pointed out.
Special recognition. I mean, it was the game of the year. They didn't need to like draw attention to it.
Yeah, and it's probably, well, I know it's still selling. Like I know it still sells. So.
I was trying to think like, what would a fair value for this be? I think about $15.
Yeah.
I think like I would have paid, without thinking about it, $15 and felt like
that means they would have charged and gotten 30.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet.
So to get it for free, it's like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. Did somebody tell you that this needed to be free? You know you can make money off this, right?
They didn't get that memo. Sony did not get that
I
memo.
don't think so. Yeah,
The
it's
charity known as Sony
weird.
did not
They
understand.
didn't want money, I guess. It's so weird.
All right, so what's your big whine?
My
here?
real answer.
Yeah, and before you go on, I did just poke fun at you a little bit in saying that you never play old games, because I felt as I was praising Mario RPG, I did feel and notice a little bit of what we'll call mustard slathered apathy from you, in that you were like, yeah, I wouldn't spend money on this. I don't understand why you're so happy with this.
Yeah.
And I took that as, well, of course you don't. You don't play old games.
Well, that was more like you own basically the same thing on a cartridge already. If you didn't own Mario RPG at all, and you being you, then it would have made sense to spend money.
Yeah, but it also makes sense in that same in the everything, all the boxes that you just opened up for me, I can check them the same way in by buying that game, because that's totally on brand for me. I will buy Shenmue every time you sell it to me.
Yeah.
I will buy it. And I will do it again and again in perpetuity.
Okay, so since you opened this door, how many times again have you paid money for the original Super Mario Brothers?
Come on. That's an unfair question, because you're asking for me to remember a lot.
I
But
think it's a minimum of 9.
What I can tell you is, do I own that game on a pack of 9 trading cards? I do. I do own that game in trading card form, by way of the Nintendo e-reader.
So on 9 different occasions from 1986 until now, you've given Nintendo money for the exact same.
Oh, no. It's way more than 9. I'm saying that I own a version of that game that comes on 9 cards. You open a pack of cards and scan each card into an e-reader, and then you can play it. So I own that.
You know, it's just like such pride.
Yeah.
Just kind of exuding from you.
But I also own.
I own that.
I own that. But yeah, I also own the Game & Watch. I bought Mario 1 many, many times, is the point. And I think a lot of people who are like me have done the exact same thing. And is it stupid? Yeah. There's no defense.
I bought it a few times.
Yeah.
I bought it once in 1985 when it came out.
Yeah,
or
there you
86,
go.
whatever it was. So there's at least then. Okay, so I have an actual legit old game.
I am waiting with bated breath here. For this.
And to further tease
And this is an old game that you have played.
Yes.
Within the last, we'll say, 6 months.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Please.
And when I actually tell you the game, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, right. That is.
Well, here we go.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
The game is Intelligent Cube.
Okay. Yeah. That does make sense. Makes a lot of sense.
So when Sony revamped their online offerings, which, by the way, we should do a whole episode on how shitty that has been.
I buy things, Robbie. I purchase video game things.
Yeah.
I have not paid for that. And if I'm not paying for that, that fucking says something.
You didn't pay for that even after they increased the price by 30%?
Yeah, I definitely didn't pay for that.
And simultaneously decreased the quality of the offerings
Yeah, they sure
substantially.
did. They sure did.
Yeah. So I said this before, but I'll reiterate it because it's timely now. I did pay for whatever the highest version was of it before, and then when they announced the change, they put it on sale to re-up. Mm-hmm. So I meant to re-up for like 2 years, I think, and then accidentally misclicked and re-upped for a third year. And I was like, whatever. I'm going to be playing video games for the next 3 years. So I'm actually good until late 2026 for my.
You're
my
doing
online
pretty
service.
well in life when you accidentally overpay like hundreds of dollars on a video game subscription and be like, whoops.
Yeah, but joke's on everyone else because now they increased the price 30% after that. I actually got it on sale for 25% less than what the then price was.
The normal Plus, PlayStation Plus, was $60 a year, and I think they upped it to $80, right?
Well, that's for the base.
For the base,
level,
for the base. So it was what you pay for premium was $120 a year, right? And now it is what? Do you remember?
$150, I think, or $60 even. I mean, it's a lot. And but when I got my deal, I only paid like $100 for it because again it was on sale.
Right.
So again, joke's on everyone else. But when they did that whole revamp, they said like, hey, we're making all these classic games available to you. And I was like, great. There's
all of these.
one classic game that I am interested in, and it's Intelligent Cube. Give it to me. And then they gave it to me, and it was great.
It's a really good game.
Intelligent Cube I played as a demo in 1996 when I was a big Nintendo guy and nobody had PlayStations. But the demo, God, I miss it. And I know you miss it too. I really miss discovering demo game or games via
yeah.
the demo process.
Yeah.
And also just feeling like you were getting away with something by getting free content.
Yep.
And I think I've said on the show before, I would play the demo and be like, you idiots, I'm not going to buy your real game. I'm just playing for free. And I didn't pay anything.
So cool. There was a game. So it came with a PlayStation magazine, official PlayStation magazine, sometime in the 90s. But it was they would do a couple of these discs that they would include on that. They would release Japanese only games, and with the full intention of like, hey, this game is never coming out in America. Try it out. And for me, like I always grew up, and the thing that I always lusted after in the back of like GamePro and GameFan and all that stuff were these weird like import companies and like showing these games I could never have access to. Yeah. And so here was a way that I could do that. And there was this one game where it was like a Japanese restaurant simulator. So not unlike at all like what's the cooking game that was really, really popular? We've played it online or multiplayer. Overcooked. So the gameplay was a lot like Overcooked, but it was from a game in like 1997.
Yeah.
And my friends and I played that demo over and over and over and over. It was just addictive gameplay and weird, wacky Japanese shit. That's like all I cared about in 1998. Still kind of all I care about. But yeah, man, dude, just to get that out of a disc that was, we'll say, procured from one of those plastic bags.
A donation.
yeah. I mean, what a magical time. What a magical time and a magical thing.
And that's the right word for it, friend, is magical. It
really
was magical to have access to that stuff. And that's like when you talk about like the unfortunateness of modernity, it's really cool that all of us just carry these around, and then it's like the entire human history database is like accessible right here. But you lose something a little bit. You lose because it's not special anymore to get access to things because you can have everything.
So in an upcoming episode, I'm going to be gushing over an unlikely love affair that I'm having with my Steam Deck. Yeah. But one of the issues I have with the Steam Deck, and it's such a funny little issue to even say it's an issue, but it's like I'm overwhelmed at the amount of stuff that I can do and play with that thing.
Oh yeah.
To the point where like I spend more time doing shit to my Steam Deck than I actually do playing the thing. But more on that later.
You're going to be at the point where it's like I've done everything.
Yeah.
Now what? I've got it all ready, but now what do I do?
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, back with some more Laserdisc reviews. I'm not gonna lie, this is getting harder and harder to do. I don't have a real roof over my head. I can just go from these like timeshare rental properties, like this Flying J rest stop that I'm in right now. I don't have the Yaris anymore. I had to fucking bail on the Yaris. I don't have my blue hoodie. My neck fucking hurts, right? And I don't have I left my fucking collar. Because I had what happened was there was like these guards and they were coming and they were coming for my fucking collection, but whoop, saved them, right? We're still good, at least part of it. And I got my ladies out of there so I can keep on doing these reviews, and obviously since I'm on the road, right? And I'm like, kind of like a nomad now, like that's my chosen life. Like I'm gonna go like to places and look for more laser discs and like continue my life's work and my mission. My mission to, like get the word out there that this is the finest fucking way to watch a film, and that like you matter. All of you, the Laserdisc fan community, whoop, all of you matter. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on to another Laserdisc review. Okay, so this is Best of the WWF Volume 1 Coliseum Video Presents. So not too many people know about this era of VDS, right? The Coliseum Video produced these awesome high-flying, high-action, high-octane wrestle spectacles, right? And they also did porno, but like story porno, so different and better than what they call Gonzo, right? Sneak peek on my next review show. I've gone Gonzo for Gonzo. Just kidding. Okay, let's do a quick unboxing. So let's read some excerpts from the back before I really get into the meat and potato of this. So, Best of WWF Volume 1 Tag Team Matches. Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan versus Dick Murdoch, Adrian Adonis, Big John Studd. Super bouts. We got Superfly Snuka versus Rowdy Roddy Piper. Such a fucking dick. Bruno Sammartino versus Larry Zybisco. The Cobra versus Black Tiger, and Gorilla Monsoon meeting Muhammad Ali and Piper's Pit. So, right here is just a big chunk of truth. Read that and weep, fellas. The world's most entertaining sport. All the way agree. Number fucking 1. So, and then on the cover you got Snuka Flyman going off the top. Boo! I love you, brother. Right? So fun. He got away with murder. Yep. All the way. So, in terms of like the high action octane housed here in this Laserdisc, I gotta say, without reservation, I'm gonna go and give this 1,369 out of 10. Obviously a very high score, not one of my higher scoring scores, right? So, it's a good Laserdisc to have in the collection. It's a good one to talk about amongst the community, but is it time cop? No. Alright, so, like and subscribe. I love you all so much, and here we go.
All right. So anyway, so I got these the demo of the game, and then I just play. Oh man, what a me story! I was at my then girlfriend's house, and her little brother actually was the one who had the demo, and then I just ignored the hell out of my girlfriend so I could play Intelligent Cube. What is this brand new game? It's a demo. This is great. I'm just going to play it over and over again. And then eventually I ran out and bought my own version. I was living with some friends then. This is like 98 probably by the time I was able to get back to the game. And me and a good friend of mine who was also very good at strategy tactics games and who went on later to get a PhD in economics. So he's a really smart guy. We would just play this game like over and over and over and over again, and just trying to get better. The game, for those of you who haven't played it, and everybody should have played it, is a series of cubes sort of fall towards you, and you're playing as a third person avatar, and you're trying to put little detonator squares onto the playing surface, and then the cubes that are coming towards you, seeming to run you over, they will land on the detonator squares, and then you'll blow up the detonator squares to then blow up the cube. So it's sort of a puzzle game. It's sort of a strategy game. It's sort of a third person action game at sometimes. And it's just super fun. And when it came back out, when Sony revamped their offerings, I was like, man, I'm going to check this out. Is it still as fun as it was when I was 16, 17, 18 years old? And yes, it's totally fun.
So I played it originally on the, I'd never played it when I knew it was a thing, but I never played it contemporaneously. Yeah, that's the right word. I got it on the PlayStation Mini when I got their mini console. It was one of the, and I actually was kind of surprised that game made it there. Cause like, I don't remember it being a hit enough to be one of the few games that was on that one of the few games that that was legally on that PlayStation Mini. But yeah, I think it came with like 25 games, and it was one of them on there.
Yeah, I remember that too, and that's what gave me hope that when Sony did the revamp,
They could put it on
part
there.
of it.
Well, I know it's been on PlayStation 4/PlayStation 3 as something that you can download for years and years and years. So yeah, so before this PlayStation Plus thing. Let's take it way back to 2006. Nintendo released the Wii Virtual Console. So Sony very quickly answered that on the PlayStation 3, and they had PS1 and then later PS2 games available a la carte, how like the Virtual Console was.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and to this day, the PS3 store is still online, and you can still download PlayStation 1 and 2 games. But you have to load your wallet on a different system. You can no longer put money in on your PS3.
Oh,
so if you have an account that you still, so I have a PlayStation Network account going all the way back to the launch of the PS3. So if I put money in on my PS5, I can go to my PS3 and download a game if I wanted to, which is cool. And look, Nintendo's shutting down servers left and right. They just shut down, as we record, they just shut down early the online servers for the Wii U and the 3DS, which like I get it, and certainly not that many people are using those, and it's a resource for them. But you've got like $60 billion in a bank account just sitting there. Like you fucking can afford to leave those things on for at least as long as you said you would.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're turning them off early. And so there's all this backlash with Sony when they said that they were going to turn off the stores on the PS3.
And then they went back.
And they went back on it. Yeah. So there is that. There's some justice left in this world. But yeah, Intelligent Cube, I will concur with you wholeheartedly, is a really interesting puzzle game. But you never moved. So you went from the demo back in the late 90s, never played the full version, and now you're playing.
I did actually get the full. So the specific timeline is,
please,
1998 sometime I played the demo version, ignore my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Later.
Not his current wife.
Right.
Just for the record.
Very true. About a year later, I move out. I'm now living on my own with friends. And one of the very first things that we did is I went to the local game store and bought Intelligent Cube so that I could play it with my friends in our sick new apartment that had no furniture in it.
It had a milk crate and a PlayStation and Intelligent Cube.
Yeah.
That's all you needed. And
That's
a bunch
all
bunch of Taco Bell.
Right. So, So at that point, no girlfriend. So plenty of time for Intelligent Cube.
All the time. Yeah.
But I couldn't beat the game though. I could get pretty far. There's 8 levels and I could get to maybe 6, maybe 7, something like that. And then forgotten about like all the other old games that I've forgotten about for 20 plus years, and then played it again this year. Your timeline that you gave was within the last 6 months, specifically early November of 2023 is when I returned and played it. And beat it, and platinumed it.
Oh boy! Oh, there's those PlayStation classics on there have trophies.
They do.
That's kind of cool, actually.
And they have save states, which made it a lot easier to play.
Are you aware? So, what I'm about to tell you may derail you as a functioning human being.
Go ahead.
So,
Tell me, Brian. I'm ready.
Okay. And I just recently learned this, playing with a lot of emulation on the Steam Deck, but there is an entire like cottage industry of homebrew developers that have made really well implemented and thoughtful achievements in old games. So you can play, like, for example, you love Final Fantasy 3 because you've got a fucking pulse. Yeah. You can play that game again and earn 50 new achievements that have been hand coded for that ROM using I think it's all done within RetroArch, which is like an emulation shell. But like people have been doing this for several years now, and I didn't know about any of this stuff. But for now, it's to the point where like any old game that you can think of, somebody is either written achievements for that game or they are soon to come out.
That doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
And here's
go explain.
Right. Well, I don't want to step on the eventual trophies episode that we're going to do one day, but the trophies thing, it actually, I can feel like some kind of chemical reaction in my head when I actually get a trophy in a PlayStation game, and you get the little chime and all that, and definitely when there's a platinum trophy.
So okay, do you need the trophy to be official, like it's a Sony sanctioned trophy or a Steam trophy or an achievement or is that one of the hooks for you?
That's part of it,
because I have an analog to that. So like I've on this show routinely take the shit out of indie games. So for me, like I have nothing against like art and like culture and or any of that stuff.
I have nothing against art. It's fine.
But I vastly prefer my games to be official, meaning like they're made by like a fucking company that I've heard of versus like Brixton in Maine or like Bethany up in Carson City made a game about a dragon that had a bad morning and like we had to like get through that morning because the morning's the bad guy in the game. You know, like real life. It's like real life, but like a game. It's and my name is Bamberly. So
Morning is the bad guy in the game.
So that's in a way, you and I are similar in that.
Identical.
That's fantastic. But yeah, no, I feel like I'll play a game like El Shaddai, which in every definition of the word of an artsy indie game is that, but because it was published on a disc in 2009 by a company I've heard of, I therefore automatically, my reptilian brain just goes like, oh yeah, I'll give that more credit. I'll go ahead and give that more credit right away.
So I need to work some of this out with my therapist, but it's not just that it has to be official because I don't actually care that much about Microsoft trophies. So trophies in those games, achievement points,
score,
whatever. Yeah.
They invented them though.
I know.
That's the sweet irony of this.
It's just not managed as well as Sony manages it. So
Right.
it's just not, the chemicals aren't going off the way that they are in the Sony games. And on Steam,
It's no ding. They don't ding. They don't do the same kind of ding.
Well, maybe, and Steam doesn't do any ding. So, well, actually, I think they do, but only in the last few months have they actually put a chime in.
Yeah.
Maybe after paying attention to Sony. But Steam is sort of in the middle where I'll make the effort to get extra, to put some more time into a game to get the achievements that I can get. But it's not like with Sony where it's like I have to get the platinums. I need all the platinums. Including Intelligent Cube, including what was the other game? Spider-Man 2 most recently.
Yeah.
So
literally any and all of the games that you play on PlayStation. Like that's it's what you do.
And the ones that I haven't done, it really bothers me. And it's like I really need to go back. And there's all these walking simulators I need to go back and play now. All the David Cage games. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human.
Boy.
Gotta play through that story 3 more times to get every possible ending so I can get the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyway, so I did get the trophy for Intelligent Cube. The trophies are actually very basic. It's like beat the level, get a perfect score on the level. Fine, done.
Low hanging fruit.
Definitely.
That's fine.
But party bonus for me because I was already liking the game anyway.
Yeah.
Really liking the game.
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. And plus, like, look, good heroin and bad heroin, it's all heroin at the end of the day. I mean, come on.
I was always wondering and wanting them to make a sequel, and then I think they did make a sequel, but that had different puzzle games.
It was on PSP, I believe.
On PSP,
Yeah.
it was called like in IQ.
IQ,
or something.
yeah.
I never played that.
I think IQ is also on this PlayStation service because there's a bunch of PSP games.
Yeah, next Milk and Wine episode. I'm gonna have to check that out. Actually, I need to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But this game was really, really fun. And again, anytime you're looking back over 25 years, it's like, well, was I young?
Yeah.
Is this going to still hold water with me? And it totally did. And I played the hell out of it, and it was great. And now it makes me think, like, why the hell didn't they do a sequel to this? Because the gameplay hooks are pretty good.
Have you played a game or heard about a game called Catherine? It came out.
Yes.
Okay. So, do you know anything about it?
It's got some like R-rated stuff in it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start there. So gameplay wise, it's a lot like Intelligent Cube, except for instead of instead of the cubes coming at you, it's about climbing vertically. But it's an action puzzle game in that like where you have to climb in a certain order, a certain pattern in order to get to the next spot. And as you're doing the climbing, like shit's happening around you.
Yeah.
So it's very it's like methodical and strategic puzzling, but then like you have to do it quickly because the whole thing is crumbling.
Yeah, it actually sounds really interesting.
Well, and that's all wrapped around. So there's this whole deal about this game where it's like a psychoanalyst type of a thing. But you fucking the Catherine is this woman that enters your life, who's basically like someone that you were very very seriously considering cheating on your. I think she's your wife, if not your fiance in the game. but it asks you all these questions as you play, and like it kind of rates you morally.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's really, really, really
I
interesting.
just looked at the screenshots and I was like, oh, this is some kind of like e-porn or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. It's really nowhere near. It's done by the Persona team, and like the Persona team, like they're very not porny.
Yeah.
So there is that. But no, I think you would love it. I would also I recommend this for anyone who's never played Catherine. If you're in a relationship, a marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, partnership, whatever it is, play this game alone. Because if you answer these questions in front of that person, like even if you answer like fake, like because they're watching, you know, you're going to probably do a disservice to your playthrough, but also like you're just going to step in a lot of sticky stuff.
Open communication is important in relationships, Brian.
Yeah.
So I had to sit my wife down when I launched Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time and said, look, I'm making it with a bear in this game, okay? And you're just going to have to be okay with that. I will do whatever it takes.
Look, you've known me a long time, right? By now, you know exactly who I am, and it's time to come out of the closet about this one.
Yeah. All right. I'm about to have an affair with an animal, and
with
a
digital bear.
You're just going to have to be okay with that. It's a part of our life.
She's very
now.
open-minded.
Yeah.
She's very open-minded. But yeah, if you like Intelligent Cube and you like stories, and you like both, I highly recommend Catherine.
So it's two recommendations because you reminded me of IQ and then also the Catherine.
And I think Catherine is Catherine. If it's not on that PlayStation service thing, you can buy that game for like $2 all the time.
Steam Winter Sales on right
now.
Yeah,
exactly. There you go.
Man, you just got my weekend all figured out.
Boom.
How you doing?
Booyah! I would love to watch you play that game and answer those questions in front of your wife, though. Just to be a fly on the wall and just see how that goes.
It's like the meme with the guy and the two buttons. I'm just like sweating profusely.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Because there's a couple of questions in the game where it is like there is no good answer. Where it's like you are in this point in the game. I'm not going to spoil it because it really does have a good story, like totally compelling and like engaging shit. And it's like it's adult in that like it's not. They're dealing with like actual adult like real world maturity themes. Like the main character is this dude who he like is successful in his job, but he's like depressed, and like he is successful in his relationship, but there's also like some things there like the 7-year itch and all that stuff. So these are like really like heady, mature adult concepts in this game, but it happens to be like an anime leaning puzzle game. It's very outside the norm for Japanese development in general, in my opinion. But yeah, highly recommend it. But to bring it on back to Intelligent Cube.
Yep.
Would you? How much? Let's get it out there. Let's get critical. Like, how much do you love this game? Would you put a number on it? And how much do you recommend people play it?
Good. I'll go in reverse order. I recommend it highly to really anybody because the gameplay hook is immediate. It's when you start playing the first level, you figure out what's going on in the game right away, and then it's really fun right away. So there's not like a build up. I don't have to tell people you got to give it a couple hours and ease into it, like Starfield or whatever. It's right away. It's good. Okay, would I give it a score? I would, and my score is 9.1.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very, very
chunky.
good,
very chunky.
Yeah, it's a pretty high score. You can even talk me into a 9.2.
But I don't have my phone on me. Do you have your phone on you? Just for fun, just for funsies.
Oh, see
if there is an aggregate score for it.
I'll predict actually that the aggregate score is going to be in the 80s.
Okay,
but my score is better
because I don't remember any sort of critical coverage of this game from back in the day. Not to say that it didn't exist, because obviously it did. But I can't recall it off the top of my head.
Okay, so Push Square gave it a 8 out of 10.
Okay.
And let me see if I don't think Metacritic is going to have anything on it because it came out so long ago.
Go to the Wikipedia entry of it. They keep a bunch of like older scores there. You'll probably find GameSpot and stuff like that.
Okay. Got it. So hold on. We're going. Reception and legacy.
There you go.
Game rankings aggregate 72. Like, don't pay any attention to them.
No, never mind that.
Some of the bigger publications at the time, EGM gave it a 7.875 out of 10. Ryan Scott, I know you did not work for EGM at the time, but you eventually worked there, and I'm disappointed in you for not correcting that score.
This is entirely your fault. You and you alone.
Famitsu, 23 out of 40. Game Informer, 7.5 out of 10. Game Fan, 87%. GameSpot was around then a 6.6 out of 10.
Yeesh.
IGN 8 out of 10.
You know what?
Edge 7 out of 10.
So you're proving my point on an earlier piece
I
of
know.
content about how fucking stupid this shit is. Stupid.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll tell you this. You have inspired me to go because I have Intelligent Cube on my PlayStation Mini, and I enjoyed that game quite a bit when I played it, but I just kind of fell off. But you've hit me with the inspirato to go back to it because I like you, I love puzzle games, but I really, really love them when they have an action lean to them.
So, on the one hand, this game speaks to you a little bit because there's basically no story to like bog the game down.
Yeah.
It's just the puzzle part of it. On the other hand, a fair criticism of the game, it's just one that never bothered me, is that what you see in level 1 is what you see the entire game. There's just more of it. It's like the as you progress, more blocks are coming at you. That's really it. But it's not, they don't come in different patterns. There's not some kind of character arc. There's nothing like that. So
you mean it's a video game?
Right. So if you wanted to sit here and say like, well, okay, like the gameplay is fine, but you've seen everything there is to see after 30 minutes. So why do you need to keep going with that? That's actually somewhat fair, but it's like any other game where it's like once you the gameplay is half the fun. If you enjoy the gameplay hooks, and it's like you don't mind that's all that there is, because what there is all that you need.
Look, buddy, Pac-Man is still fun. Pac-Man's a really, really
Miss
fun
Pac-Man.
game.
Yeah, that's the example I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
It's like 40 years later, that game is still really fun.
I would argue that's the thing that we are missing most out of video games today. Is like there isn't much of that anymore. There is here and there. You got to seek it out, but like like the whole point of the medium now, I think, is to try to get better at telling stories, which, that's cool, that's fine, right. But there's a place there you can have that, and we can also have a sequel to Mutant League Hockey. Like, you can have both of those things.
Brian, you can't just say that in every single episode.
I'm gonna. All right, here, guy. Any closing? Did any milk pop into your head during this conversation? No. Still no milk.
No,
Still no milk.
I'll bring the milkers next time.
Okay, that's fine. Please do. Oh, I need an adult. Okay, well, I think that's going to do us here today on this fine installment of Age Like Wine, or Did It Age Like Wine? But yeah, that was a fun one. If I didn't say it at the beginning, because I don't remember if I did, give us a like and a subscribe here on the YouTube if you'd like. If you'd rather, we're also on Spotify. Give us a 5-star review and a follow over there. It does help. And yeah, we will continue onwards and upwards in the year 2024 as it rolls on.
See ya.